live. I hope that you guys are doing well and I hope that you guys are staying safe. So, you guys, I'm not going to be on here for too long, but I just wanted to say welcome. If you were new, returning, hey, my name is Joy and I am a narcissist abuse coach. I've been dealing with narcissists since 2006, and since 2006, actually 17, I almost said 16. Since 2017, I've been helping former victims and now survivors overcome, heal, move on after dealing with narcissistic abuse. So I wanted to touch on two topics, and I'll do this. I think the second topic. We'll do like a part two to this video. But the first topic, I wanted to talk about narcissistic parents, and or narcissistic in-laws, specifically narc parents, because you know how sometimes, when you're dealing with a narcissistic parent, just understand that they want to control you. They want to make it so that you can't ever leave them. They want you to be underneath them 24/7. They want you to be giving them constant praise, your undivided attention, 24/7. They don't want you to have a life. They don't want you to have, other relationships besides them. So not even like friendships like that, or not even relationships or anything. That narcissistic parent wants your full undivided attention. And I was actually thinking about this myself, and I overheard someone talking. They're not a narc, by the way, but I know that some narcissists do feel this way in terms of like, their children and other people around them. But sometimes when it comes to the narcissist, they could feel kind of resentful, especially towards their children, because for some of them, they may feel that, because you were born or because you were in their life, that things changed for them or they wasn't able to do certain things. Now, this could also be normal parents. Like maybe this is just a parent that's dysfunctional, maybe a parent that's toxic, or, maybe just a parent that's just is on, maybe, you know, could just be unhealthy, or, just not really relating in the best way, but they could feel resentful towards you now as you're an adult and you're wanting to live your own life outside of what that parent is wanting you to do, just for the simple fact, again, because maybe that parent feels like, they had to work to take care of you and your other siblings, and they had to do different things that hindered them maybe from pursuing their certain like goals or dreams or aspirations or hobbies that they really wanted, so that can bring up a lot of resentment, which in turn can cause, a lot of, whether your parents are narcs or even if they're just toxic, unhealthy, dysfunctional parents that could have a lot of unhealed trauma, unhealed pain, and like they could feel like they didn't live their life how they wanted to, so that can cause them to abandon you, that can cause them to reject you, that can cause them to shun you, belittle you, and really just distance themselves from you because they feel upset that maybe you're not listening to what they want you to do specifically. And the reason why I'm saying that, because unfortunately that was my case. My parents are not narcs, but I will say that, I had an experience with one of my parents, mainly my dad per se. I love my parents, don't get me wrong, love my parents. But I do feel as sometimes, and I think I saw this on a video, but I think that my dad does resent me, just because, and even I think my aunt does resent me too, but obviously she's not my parent, but still she raised me for a couple years, 5 years, and so, and the reason is because sometimes our parents, they maybe they didn't have the resources that we have now, maybe the technology wasn't as great as it is now, for them to have done certain things in their life, for them to try activities and do things of that nature. And so sometimes I feel like, well, specifically for me speaking, I feel like, there's a lot of resentment that my dad has towards me, just because I'm choosing to live my life based on what God is telling me versus what he's telling me. You get me? And I feel like because your parent feels like you should listen to them no matter if they're right or wrong, is a big thing. So, peace are in. I feel that, it's a word that is here because, we do have individuals that are narcissists, unfortunately. And, there's just, we definitely, hopefully, the world would be a better place without people like that. But unfortunately, they're here, they're not going anywhere. And us normal people are not going anywhere either. So that's just something that we just have to deal with, right? So, but anyways, yeah, so just be aware. So if you feel like your parent is resenting you, or you feel like your in-law is resenting you, then, I mean, I know that that can be hurtful. and something that's really devastating and disappointing, because I know that I felt that way and I really had to grieve a lot of that, and I do actually talk about that in my book. So if you're dealing with that, I highly recommend getting my book called Your Pain Will Make You Successful, because I do talk about specifically what happened to me and my parents and how I was able to overcome that and move past that. Right now, don't get me wrong, it's not to say that I'm fully like moved past it, but there's just ways in which you learn how to cope with things of that nature, which things that you don't necessarily have control over. But what you do have control over is your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, and how you're going to respond, right? So you just want to keep that in mind. But the thing is this, in terms of your narc parent resenting you, is it's sad. It's sad, but you can cope by just again, like I said, learning to accept things that you can't change. You also have to realize that you can't control your parents. You don't have to live your life for your parents, because I know that some children feel obligated to live their life for their parents, or they feel obligated to get acceptance and to get approval by their parents. I know, because some of us, we do go through childhood traumas, and that need to be approved by your parents is so great that it oversees your logic. And also you have to think like, okay, how do I want to live my life? Do I want to live my life for me and follow my purpose and follow what God is telling me, or do I want to live my life for my parents and just making them happy? You get me? And we love our parents, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, sometimes some parents can give you bad advice. Some parents can give you advice, and that's not for your best interest. They may give you they may tell you to do something and it's not the right thing to do, but because some of us, again, like I said, we have those unmet needs, those unmet childhood needs, those that unmet grief, those emotional wounds, or the generational curse thing going on. Also just past hurts and disappointments that we just kind of throw that out the window, and we just don't question our parents. And sometimes, especially if you're dealing with a narc parent, because that parent has so much power over you. Maybe that parent is in control of the finances, or maybe you work for your parent, or maybe you live with your parent, or you just fully relying on your parent. So in that case, yeah, I could see how a person would listen to that particular parent. But the key is that you want to learn how to be independent, but also still respect your parent at the same time. If that makes sense, right? So uh, Reese, you said, I don't think the individuals are the problem. It's the system that created it. Yeah, that's a good point. You said, look at the stuff people are being programmed from birth. Man, yeah, it's the system we live in. The system creates people like narcissists. The system creates mental health disabilities. The system creates toxicity, generational curses. So, like you said, you can't be mad at the individual, but also, though, Reese, people do have free will, and people are smart for the most part. So a lot of people know what's right and wrong. So most people are making their decisions and doing things in life with knowing consciously what they're doing. So you don't want to put it all on the government per se, or excuse what the behaviors or what other people are doing, because a lot of people know exactly what it is that they're doing. Specifically when we're talking about narcissists, they know what it is that they're doing. They know how they're behaving, and they know how they're mistreating people. So there's no excuse for that behavior, if that makes sense. But I do get what you're saying. The system itself, the government does create that type of um, I guess, path, or that way in which that individual is created, if that makes sense, right? It's like the circumstances, it's the environment, it's TV, it's movies, it's social media, influences, radio, and all that stuff is creating for people to behave in that way. And like I said, people have the choice to decide if they want to behave that way or if they don't want to behave that way. So it's everybody has their own choice, and everybody can make that decision, which I think that's why God said, like, he's not going to force us to love him. He's not going to force us to follow him. We have that choice. Either we can follow God or we can follow something else, right? So we all have that choice. So I hope that that made sense. Reese said people have free will, but only to a certain extent. We live in the open. Yeah. In a sense, we do to a certain degree. But I guess what I'm saying is that people, when they are like talking to people, behaving with individuals around other people, they know what to say and what not to say. They know how to relate to them for the most part. I would say just general conversation, they know how to be respectable, they know how to be courteous, and stuff like that. Now, if they're choosing to do the opposite, then that's their own choice. Now, it could also have been something like, maybe like when they were young, they were taught like, oh, mistreat this person because of how they look, mistreat this person because of how much they make, or mistreat this person because of what they're wearing. You get me? So you do have that going on, but at the end of the day, that's why you have social media, you have education and different things like that, where people can know what's right and what's wrong at the end of the day. So that's why I say that. And then you said the system creates division, and yes, it does. Yep, they want us to be angry, angry. Divided people don't divide against the comment. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's what it's all about. Unfortunately, yeah, the system itself is definitely what's the word? It's rotten to the core, I must say. It is corrupt, right? The system we live in. But the beautiful thing is, what I always look at is, I look at God. I keep my focus on God. So I have hope of the future, but unfortunately it's just not that way right now. But it does say that it has to get worse in order for it to get better. So that's how I see it. And also, I look at it as God is in control of everything, and I don't question God for anything, because I don't know if I ever shared this with you guys, but I was listening to a lecture from a guy. He's like a preacher. He speaks a lot about things going on in the world and stuff. And I guess it was in the Bible somewhere, and it said that the angels was having a conversation with God, and the angels asked God, like, why would you put a people in power that would be the cause of shed of blood, that would be the cause of destruction, that would create a lot of hatred, destruction, envy, jealousy, bitterness, angry people, and you know what God said to the angels? God said, I know what you know not, so with that being said, I know that there's something that God is doing that I don't know, but God knows what's going on. So to me, I put my trust, and I understand that God this is his world, this is his universe, and he appoints who he wants to be in power for specific reasonings for his own particular purpose. So I am God's child, so I back up, I just follow God, and then whatever else is going on in the world and what other people, yes, it does affect me, but at the end of the day, I only have control over what? Myself, right? So yeah, I hope that makes sense. You said social media is one of the worst things, where yeah, it is, it makes, yeah, and the thing is everybody has the right to post what they want on their social media, to say what they want to say, freedom of speech, right? So yeah, so I hope that was helpful. Any other questions, please let me know, or comments. Thank you for that, Reese. Anybody else? Please make sure that you give the video a like, you guys, so that way other people can see this and it can help them, bless them. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and tell other people about the channel, so that way it can help them and bless them. So I wanted to move forward on the next topic, and I do want to do a part 2 to this, but I wanted to touch on, I got a comment. The person was saying that the narcissist is with the new supply, and how I guess the person that was dealing with the narc, they noticed how the narcissist was getting haircuts, or maybe was looking a certain way for that particular supply. I guess it could have been the part where the narcissist was grooming that new supply, to see, how their tolerance was for abuse, to see, if they're a pushover, if they're a people pleaser, if they're a doormat and stuff like that. And so sometimes when the narcissist does conquer their supply or conquer their new victim, a lot of times they're not going to do the same stuff that they do once they have conquered that person, or they're in a relationship with that person, or they moved in, or they have a child with them, or they're married with them. So it's like they don't have to do things to impress them. They don't have to do things to appease them anymore. So in that sense, the narcissist is kind of more just like laid back. They do whatever they want. But the thing is even in that grooming process and that love bombing stage, that new supply has probably fallen in love with the narcissist. So at that point, it's like it doesn't matter what the narcissist does, that new supply is going to stay with that narcissist, right? And a lot of times they probably won't even require them to do some of the things that they did in the beginning. It probably won't matter. It'll just be the fact that they actually did it, what probably is what matters the most to the new supply. So I know sometimes, like, a lot of people ask me that all the time. I get comments, emails, and stuff about the narcissist with the new supply. It's a lot of things that you guys are going to see and not see. But one of the things that helped me to overcome that obstacle and hurdle of seeing the narcissist with the new supply, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I literally would go and look on the narcissist page. his Facebook page. I would do it faithfully. I want to say it was for like 6 months, you guys. And that was the period of time where I was going through my rough time. And I do talk about that in my book. So like I said, make sure that you do get the part 1 and part 2. All of that is going to be in the description. But I woke up for 6 months straight, you guys, and I would cry. I wouldn't even get up. At first I would start crying. I'd be in the bed, and then I would just be trying to go about my day. Sometimes it was hard for me to function. It was hard for me to just get through the day. But once I was able to, I had to work on myself, obviously. But what I would do though, I would go to the library. I would read my books and do stuff like that. But I would go and look on the narcissist social media, and it was nothing for me to see. Everything was clear. But I had a point where I would look at the narcissist page, and I would see like, oh, he's happy with that person. Maybe it was something wrong with me, because obviously he's with someone and I'm not. I'm the one that's still single. But you guys got to remember, the narcissist cannot be alone. The narcissist needs to have a person around them at all times, gassing them up, stroking their ego, telling them things, praising them, you know, getting approval and love, and it's 24/7, you guys. It's like constant, so so what I'm trying to say is, like, most of the times, whatever you've seen on social media is not what it is in real life. Now, if you do see that the narcissist is still with that new supply many years, it's every situation is different. Like I said, some people's standards is, not as yours. Some people may have grown up in a dysfunctional household where they feel like, just because they're getting attention, somebody's showing them love, that they feel like that's love and they're not going to let it go. So everyone's tolerance is different. Everyone, that the way that which they relate to another person is different. So, but all in all, just understand that you will see the narcissist change. Like, you will see them change when they were with you with that new supply. And either way the change goes, it's not really it's gonna be, I guess it's gonna look good in the beginning, but as you guys know yourself, because you've been with a narcissist, or you've had a narc parent, or you had a narc in-law, you will soon begin to see that it's not real, and that it was a facade to get you either attached to them, get you to trust them, to get you to fall in love with them, and to let your guard down, right? So that way then they can go in for the kill, and then that's when they start to abuse you, right? So it's kind of a sad thing. And me personally, you guys, I never knew that narcissism existed. If you were to tell me, like, when I was age 17, or maybe like back in 2005 or 2006, that narcissism existed, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? Like, I never knew until after I was living with my aunt for 5 years. And also while living with my aunt, I started dating a male narc for about 4 years. So, that's how I knew that there was no other way I would have known about this topic. Like, if I would have never moved to California, if I would have never met the narcissist on my on YouTube, I would have never known about this topic, you guys. I'm being honest. I would have never known. I wouldn't even be on this channel. So, I mean, I guess they say everything does happen for a reason, but yeah. So I hope that made sense. Let's see here. I'm not religious, but it seems like to me there is an evil force in control. Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, God's in control of that. God has a purpose for everything. But yeah, currently, the world now is pretty evil. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty evil world. But like I said, what gives me peace every day, what helps me to get through the day, is I know that God is with me, and He never leaves us, and He never forsakes us, and He loves us. And the thing is that just knowing that helps me in my life, but also we also have to be obedient as well. So we can't just be like, oh yeah, I know God loves me, I can do whatever. Like, no. You got to make sure that, you are doing your part, which means having a pure heart, being consistent, being faithful to God, putting your trust in God, praying, reading the Bible. You don't necessarily have to go to church, because I don't go to church myself, and I'm not a Christian, and I'm not religious either. I'm a very spiritual person, and I have an intimate relationship with God, and that helps me daily. You get what I'm saying? Stockholm syndrome. Yeah. 6 months. At what point did you take responsibility and disconnect? Well, at that point in time, because I was dealing with the narcissist since 2010, and then 2014 is when we stopped talking. So I think at that point I took responsibility once I decided to go no contact with him. But the 6 months was a point in time I didn't reach out to the narcissist, but I think I was just still grieving it was a lot of hurt and a lot of pain that I was dealing with, not just because of the narcissist, but also because of the fact that I allowed myself to deal with him for that long period of time. But I think also I was hurting because of like my aunt and how she mistreated me also. And also too, I think the disconnect and the lack of bonding that I did not get with my initial parents was, I think, coming up for me as well, which I think it was that long of time for me to grieve and to allow myself to cry and feel my feelings and what I was dealing with. Because I know some people are like, oh no, I can't cry. I can't allow myself to feel that way. I say honestly do it, because when you hold all that stuff in, you become angry, you become bitter, you become like a ticking time bomb, and anything that anybody says, you lash out. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be that person. I also did not want to be, I didn't want to become like the people that hurt me. Also, I made that choice. So that's why I said we have a free will. You get what I'm saying, Reese? Because think about it. Not everybody that deals with narcissistic abuse handles it in a proper way. Meaning, some people will become a narcissist, or some people will become angry and stay bitter and stay grumpy and stay disgruntled for life, or they'll be alone by themselves because you know what, I'm never ever going to let anybody get close to me, so that way they can have that power to hurt me like that. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I had the free will to say, you know what, no, I'm gonna, because yeah, I've been hurt, but I'm going to become a better person because of this. You get what I'm saying? So I made that decision. I had the free will to do that. So yeah, but not everybody does that, and that's their own choice. So you have an obsession with Narc's, my honest opinion. No offense. That's what I really think. You're too a mess. I love that. Yeah, we all have opinions. So, but anyway, with that being said, you guys, but yeah, I hope that this is helpful and insightful on your journey. I know that, like I said, my experience dealing with well, particularly my dad. Like I said, my dad is not a narcissist himself, but I think he definitely does resent me. And it was something that I wasn't, like, I guess I wasn't ready for, like I said, because my dad knows the type of person I am, or at least that's what I thought he does. But I think that just because he's raised me my whole life, and I'm very appreciative to anybody that supports me or helps me with my particular self development, if that makes sense. And so, just the fact that my dad behaved in that way was just a little shocking. But it is what it is. I still love him nonetheless. And but yeah, so if you're dealing with that, just understand it's not your fault. Don't take things personal, and just realize that everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's on their own healing, their own recovery. And it doesn't have anything to do with you, but unfortunately you might get caught up in the emotional side of things when it comes to your parents or in-laws. And in-laws can resent you too, because it could also be like that adult child, the one that's associated with that in-law. They may come to resent you as the spouse, because they're like, oh, you took my son or daughter away from me, or oh, you took my grandkids away from me. My adult child is no longer spending time with me, they're spending time with you. You get what I'm saying? So you can see how that can cause resentment, it can cause jealousy, it can cause anger, bitterness, and stuff like that. So again, it just takes awareness and just being mindful of things, and just being in control of your emotions, and just remembering that you're not really responsible for anyone's happiness. You're not responsible for how people feel about you. You're just responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your own life. And those that want to reach out for support and get advice, that's great. And if those that don't want to, that's fine too. And like we always say, everybody has their own opinion, and you're very entitled to your own opinion, right? So yeah. So let's see. And all right. Yeah, no, it's all good. No worries. Like I said, I'm here on YouTube. I don't think a lot of people think that they know me because they see me on YouTube, but they really don't. So that's why I always recommend, definitely, if you have, like, if you want to book a session with me, or not even that, or just if you have like any questions in terms of like the healing and the recovery process after dealing with narcissistic abuse, go ahead and get a copy of my book, so that way you can get to know me a little bit more. and, you know, find out about who I really am, because just because you see me on the videos on YouTube doesn't mean that you know me. And yeah, so it's just an opinion. It has nothing to do with me, and it's not personal. So yeah. Delicate, hey, greetings. All right. All right. So but yeah, so Delicate, how are you doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. So but yeah, I hope that that makes sense. And so but like I said, I'm gonna do a part 2 to the comment that I got on the video. So make sure that you guys do check into that. So yeah, and then but like I said, just if you guys want further support from me, please reach out to me after the live finishes. I would love to support you in any way. And like I said, if you have not already gotten a copy of my book, please be sure to get it. Like I said, if you want to learn more about me, or if you have any questions, or if you just need some encouragement, you need some, you know, inspiration, some motivation, you know, or if you know anybody else that needs that support, please tell them about the channel, tell them about my page, so that way it can help them and bless them. That's great, Delicate. So how did you already move into your place already? I know you said that you were in the process of moving. How's that going? How is that going? It's such a hot day where I'm at. Like, it's really hot, but the sun is not out, which is great. But you know, you guys know how that is. So but yeah, and then also I'm trying to see what else. But like I said, when it comes to okay, congratulations on the move. That's amazing. I'm happy for you. That's so great to hear. So but yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today, you guys. I hope that that made sense and it was helpful. Any other topics that you guys want to know about, please let me know. And here's the other thing, you guys, on my channel we're all about positivity. So if you have, like, you know, something to say and it's like an opposition, you know, like I said, that's your own opinion. That has nothing to do with me. You know, I'm just doing what God has called me to do. So, you know, you might have to take that up with God. But you know, this is all about positive energy, positive vibes. We're just here to educate former victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse. That's all we're doing on this channel, and that's what we'll continue to do, right? So but anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure that you guys, like I said, join my free Facebook support group called the Healing and the Recovery Room, and also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, what else? LinkedIn and Twitter, all at Live Narc Free. All right, until the next time, I love you guys. Bye.